Good morning and welcome to the pre-gathering. My name is Micah and we're just so glad that you've joined us today online. The pre-gathering segment is an opportunity for you to learn more about how you can connect with us, how you can pray with us, and where you can give. More importantly, this is an opportunity for you to get to know the Crosspoint community more, to discuss topics of faith and spirituality and Jesus. We do this by sharing our Crosspoint stories with you, as well as some exclusive content that I think you're going to love. The worship gathering will begin shortly. Have a great day.
So I'm Rosa Hernandez, and I'm married to Matthew Poller. We have 2 kids, Olivia, who is 8, and Adam is 4. I'm originally from Mexico. My hometown is Poza Rica, Veracruz. Poza Rica. No, just say Poza. No, Rica. Rica. Veracruz is the state that is located at the Gulf of Mexico, right at the Gulf. So my hometown has pretty long summers and it's pretty hot there. So the summer starts kind of like April, May, and it can run until pretty much October. So the hottest times, the temperatures can be plus 40 or more. So that's really, really hot. I know. So then, then now I live in Edmonton, right? And now I'm freezing. No, I'm pretty used to now, so yeah. Okay, so I'm part of a family of 5 in Mexico. So my dad is Roberto, my mom is Laura, my sister is Yadira, she's 2 years older than me, and my brother is Carlos, who is 5 years older than me. So that makes me the youngest one in the family. I'm the baby and the only one that lives out of my hometown. So my dad back home, he is a cook and he's an owner of a little restaurant. And my mom helps with the restaurant as well. But growing up, she was just a stay-at-home mom taking care of us. When I was a kid, I remember my dad always being such a hard worker, as well as my mom. He always wanted to provide for us more than what he had when he was a kid, because he grew up poor and he was like part of a dysfunctional family as well. His grandmother raised him because his mom was really young when she had him, and his dad wasn't around very much either. So I think he always worked so hard to kind of like, give us more that he could, whatever he could give us, I guess. And so my dad, he used to work lots and he had lots of pressures, I would say too. And he suffered from alcoholism, and for many years, like, he didn't really see it that way though, but it was a present problem for us. And I do remember growing up and living in this environment of trouble. Like, I remember seeing my mom struggling with it quite a bit. So this went on for many years that my family was kind of like dysfunctional, you can say. And so after many years and of this problem with my mom and dad, my mom actually needed help. So she started going to a therapist who is a believer. So my mom went to a therapist and she was a believer. And so she started seeing my mom and trying to help her. So the therapist suggested her to start going to this group called Al-Anon, which is a group that supports family with, people that has that problem. So my mom started going there, and on the side, she felt some sort of a connection with my mom. So she invited her to this home group that she was part of. So then kind of they started having a friendship as well. And so she was invited, and then we grew up as Catholic, right? Like, we used to go to church, but we were really, really, we were part of it, but not really. So then at this point, my mom starts, going to this home group, and then she's hearing more from God, and one thing takes her to another, and then all of a sudden she starts like going to church as well, and then she starts serving church. So after this, I don't know, probably in between 1 year or something, my mom is trying to get my dad to go to a AA group, but my dad, of course, he refused to go. Right? He couldn't see that he had a problem. But I guess at some point he actually touched bottom, and then he started going there. Like it wasn't like a fast transition. It wasn't like, okay, I go there for 2 weeks and I'm cured, right? It was a long process. And I remember, for a while was successful, and then he will go back to old habits. But every time that he was trying, you could see that, he was more drawn to be, to refuse to keep on drinking, right? So it took many years, but actually today my dad is sober, and due to my mom going to this home group and being part of the church as well, it kind of like invited my dad to start like being part, just starting a new path with God. And then I remember I was a teenager, a young adult back then, when he actually was more that I could see him growing a relationship with God, right? I remember seeing him reading the Bible so much, right? And I was like, what is he doing? Like, why does he read so much, right? And at that point, his restaurant started being less successful. He actually had a lot of trouble going on, right, in these years, but his faith was getting bigger. Yeah, he had some pretty rough years in his life, but I can tell you, like now, I don't know, God has blessed him in so many ways, right? And now my parents have been together for 43 years, I think, in counting. So it is pretty good. Like I have seen what God can do in somebody's heart, especially when you feel so hopeless for many years, right?
What I deserve, you have taken upon yourself.
Right? Back in 2009, Matthew was working in Costa Rica. My hometown is like a little oil field town. So he was sent there for a project for about a year. And so he was at the mall, I remember, and because I went to school for business, English was a big part of my training. So I wanted to practice my English. And so I just approached this guy and I said, hey, how'd you do it? And, we just start getting to know each other. And anyways, I told him that I needed to practice my English, and then we just, start getting to go out and hang around and stuff. So one thing led to another, and then, we start dating. And so after us having like a long distance relationship, we struggled with it a little bit because, it's hard, right? But so we kind of like took the big step to take a risk and see what it was going to happen with us. So I came to Canada in October 22nd, 2011. And ever since, I've been here. We got married, and I got pregnant, and I got Olivia in 2012. And and 3 years after, we had Adam. Well,
Not a king adorned in splendor, robed in glory, but a baby.
Adam. Well, I think the first year living here was the hardest, right? Because you gotta get used to a new normal kind of a thing, right? Like everything is so different, right? Starting from the weather, the food, and just not having your family and your friends. I think that's the hardest, honestly. But I think I've been pretty blessed about having Matthew's family to support me as well. They have always been such a help, and I found some good friends as well. So now I can feel that Canada is my home. I thought about going back to Mexico. It was really hard for me to be away from my family. Before I came here, I prayed to God, if this is the guy that I'm going to marry, if this is the guy that you want for me, help me, because how is this going to happen, honestly? And I came here, and Matthew didn't have to go to work for like 6 months. So that was clearly God, right? And he kind of like let us have a stronger relationship and have that time and adjustment together. Then he had to go to work, and then his family was the one that was helping me, right? When Adam was about 2, we knew that he had food allergies. He was allergic to peanuts, some nuts, and milk. But we never experienced something bad with him until one day when he was around 2. We went to a birthday party, and he ate something that I wasn't sure what it was in it, and he ate it. He started having a reaction. He started feeling unwell. He started puking nonstop, and all of a sudden, you seen him being, pretty unwell. I didn't know what to do. Matthew called 911, and just seeing his face, right, and his body kind of like vanishing. I took the EpiPen and I give it to him, and we wait for the paramedics to come. We went to the hospital, and after a while, he was fine. But after that episode in my life, things totally changed. I feel pretty stressed out about the whole situation. Every single day, I felt this stress about me. It was kind of like on my hands to keep him alive. Like I just, even leaving the house, sometimes I will make all these scenarios that what could possibly be wrong, that I will be ready, that it was in my hands to keep him alive, pretty much. So that burden was really terrible for me, and it just grew and grew and grew until it became unbearable, pretty much. And that caused a lot of stress for my family as well, for my daughter and for my husband. And because Matthew had to go to work, right, for periods of 3 weeks to 4 weeks, when he was leaving, it was even worse, right? It just felt pretty hopeless. So anyways, my father-in-law, he's been a Christ follower for quite a while. And he invited me and Matthew to start listening to this preacher just on TV, right? And I remember me and Matthew sitting and listening to it, and I could totally feel the Holy Spirit talking to me. That's when Matthew 11:28-30, it just came really like, it really touched me. It really changed me too, right? I could feel God saying, you give it to me, right? Because it's not in your power. I got it, right? So it was a process. It wasn't something that I could let go that easy. But after that sermon that I heard on TV, I remember we started coming to Crosspoint in the new building. It was just a new building. And I remember one day Matthew was sick and he couldn't come to church, so he stayed at home with the kids. And I came, and Micah was the one that at the end of the sermon was saying, well, if you need prayer, we have a team here to pray for you. Do you need a prayer? And I felt like, yeah, I think I need it. So then I went, and met this lady. I never seen her before. And she says, what do you want me to pray for you? And I said to her, my kid has food allergies, and I just want you to pray for him. So then at that moment, she just closed her eyes, and then she started praying. And I could totally feel the Holy Spirit talking through her, because she didn't know me, and she just started telling me all the things that are going in my life. How could she knew? could she possibly know everything, right? So it was just the Holy Spirit telling me, let go of this, and I'm taking this, and I'm here for you, right? So it was just some reassurance, right? Like God was talking through people, telling me that he got it, right? And it just wasn't in my hands and in my power to deal with it by myself.
Your love is taking over me, broke me from my chains and set me free.
So after that prayer, right, Adam was in the process to outgrow the milk allergy, right? So then after that prayer, this lady, Ronita, right, and I became friends. Like we got connected and we started getting together, and she invited me to a mom's group where Christine was the one that was leading it, right? So I get to know these nice ladies, right? And I was actually, pretty amazed of the hospitality and, just like that you could really sense love, right? Like, and support, right? So we used to get together for prayers once a week. And at that point, Adam outgrew the milk allergy. So it was something really positive. So after the struggle with Adam's health and coming to Crosspoint for a while, we had a new issue coming up. Olivia, which at that time was 6, started having some pain in her feet and her hands, and I took her to the doctor. It took a while for them to figure it out, and the things were starting to progress, and her pain will be in different joints in her body. The worst part of the illness was when she couldn't walk for a few days because of the inflammation of her hips. Yeah, it was a hard time for us to see her losing mobility and just being in constant pain, right, every day. And so, the pediatrician suspected that was juvenile arthritis rheumatoid, but she wasn't too sure yet. We needed to see a specialist, and that was going to take months, right? So through that struggle, of course, it was terrible to see her suffering. But now being part of Crosspoint, right, we had people that help us with prayer, and that was, trying to support us in different ways. And I actually asked Pastor Rob if he could help me pray for Olivia with a group of elders, and he said yes. So we brought Olivia with them, and they pray over her. And the things weren't perfect right away, but we can see so much of God's love around us, right? One thing is that we got an awesome doctor, right? And he pushed for tests and things that it would have taken months, but he did it in like a week. We know how hard it is with the healthcare system here, and he made it possible. That wasn't him, that was clearly God, right, for us. And Olivia had to go to a procedure where, she had to have an endoscopy as well. And of course, for a little girl, it's scary. So I remember asking people to pray for her. And when the day come and we went there, you wouldn't believe it. Like, the whole experience was like, it was like a fun day for her. Like the hospital, the nurses, the doctor itself. She got so many treats. She got, at the end of the day, she said, "Mom, that was an awesome day." When we were like so worried, and I read about side effects and that it can be hurt, that it can hurt after and stuff like that. So just honestly, yeah. So Anyway, so we got the diagnosis. She has 2 autoimmune diseases as well. But this time, like, yes, it was overwhelming, but we didn't feel like, I didn't feel the same anxiety, or I totally felt God around us in all little ways. So today I can say that she's still taking medication, but she has been pain-free for at least 10 months now. No, like the doctors see her, and every time that we go to an appointment, he's like amazed to see her after 16 joints being inflamed and so much pain, how well she's doing. And we are actually in the process of reducing her medicine. So it's going good. Having God in your life, it doesn't really mean trouble-free, right? It's just that He's there fighting with you, right? And for me, is if I keep my eyes on Him, everything is better, right? If I take my eyes away from Him for a minute, I feel hopeless. We are not ought to fight our battles by ourselves, right? And that we are part of something bigger, to say, right? And so for me, it has been so helpful to reach out to others, right? Just asking for a simple prayer, or, it doesn't take much, but it can lift you up so much, right? You can just feel that support that way, right? How important it is for us to be there for each other, right? Because when somebody falls, the other one lifts you up, right? And just as a reflection of Jesus' love, right, through us, just to bring light to another person, right? My name is Rosa Hernandez, and this is my story.
Hey, and welcome back. Worship will begin in about 5 minutes. Now, this is what you can expect from the worship gathering. We're going to sing some songs, pray together, and then we're going to hear a relevant gospel message. If you're here today and you're looking for ways to give, you can visit the crosspointchurch.ca/give, or you can visit one of the donation boxes at the back of the worship center or in the lobby. Now, let's prepare together to worship.